Hello, and welcome to The Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Each week, they bring you conversations with local Christian businesses and business owners. The Experience Local is brought to you each week by wonderful sponsors.
Copper Rock Real Estate. Commercial and residential real estate in the Mid-Willamette Valley. CopperRockRealty.com. Independent Merchant Brokers. Low-cost and no-cost debit and credit card processing. 877-460-4747. IndependentMerchantBrokers.com. Join Boson Hub Digital Development in supporting Kickin Cancer. Kickin Cancer provides support, education, and resources for cancer patients, survivors, and families. Kickin-cancer.org. Albany Area Habitat for Humanity and the Habitat Restore at 1225 Southeast 6th Avenue in Albany. AlbanyAreaHFH.org. Discover Oregon Real Estate. Tim Rist on the web at dore.llc. Find your people, find your home.
And now, your hosts for The Experience Local, Russ and Scott.
Hey,
good morning, Russ.
well, good morning, Scott. How you doing?
You know, it's Thanksgiving week.
There you go. Hey, my favorite. I love food, so.
Well, and you know, with the 1,000 Thanks hashtag, we celebrate regularly. But
Yes.
it's nice to have a time where we set aside to really focus on thanks. And I'll say I'm thankful for people like our guests today who are putting in an effort to create organizations and communities to support other folks.
For sure. And when we talk about local business, our faith, and our family on this show, we love to encompass some of the nonprofits that are doing amazing things locally and way reaching out beyond that. I mean, they're growing and moving, and I'm just excited to have Baron on to talk a little bit about all that he is doing. But I want to just remind everybody, hey, Scott and I are here every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. After we go live at 9 a.m., then it sits on the platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook forever. You can go back and watch it, share it, interact. Also, it converts to audio podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, whatever your favorite podcast platform is. And it is on the Experience Radio Network. So for more information on that, you could just go to local.theexperience.video today. Find out more information about Scott and I, about our shows, and about this show, The Experience Local.
Absolutely.
We love it.
People can follow the YouTube channel. We encourage that. Share with us your YouTube channel. We would love to reciprocate and follow back. You can find all about The Experience Local, The Experience on Wednesday, live with Russ and Scott, the Marketing with Russ shows, which is twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. Thursday afternoon is Russ Reels, and then Saturday morning broadcast on KBBW, and then following on as a podcast is the Waco Experience. So go to local.theexperience.video and you can learn all about all the great stuff out there.
That's right. We would love to have you just engage in all that we're doing, because we're so blessed with so many amazing friends like Baron today that have so much value to add for you, and find out what they're doing and how you can get involved, and maybe just give you some thoughts on what you're doing and how you can interact more with your community. But yeah, I am just so thankful, Scott, to be here. Got big Thanksgiving plans for this week?
You know, it'll be a quiet one. It's our first Thanksgiving in Waco. So it'll be quiet, but got my spiral cut ham, so I'm ready to go. And we got the football games queued up. So yeah, typical.
There you go.
American Thanksgiving, which I guess they all are.
Yes. Hey, no, I am excited because it is just a blessed time. And this year we're blessed with more than one Thanksgiving. So that's a good thing. So more food. Anyway.
Well, let's get to the good stuff. Let's
do
talk
it.
to Baron and find out what's going on in his world.
All right, everybody. This is my good friend, Mr. Baron Robison of Kickin Cancer. Good morning, Baron.
Hey, Russ, good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And what a blessing you are to me. Give everybody a little snapshot. Who is Baron? What's Kickin Cancer, and what are you up to?
Kickin Cancer was formed a little over 6 years ago. My sister had already gone through her battle with breast cancer, and I had organized some things here in this area to support her. She flew up from Arizona, and a bunch of my friends from Costco went and did a mud run in Canby, and all of a sudden I realized I could help one more person, Russ. Like I helped my sister, I could help one more person. And it just began to snowball from there. God just kept saying, Baron, here's one more. Baron, here's one more. And then I was really fortunate about 6 years ago to stumble into an Albany greeters at the Willamette Valley Bank in Albany, where I met you.
I remember that well. Yes, I do. Scott,
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's where Russ and I. That's where we met as well.
Go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
That's where Russ and I met as well at the chamber. So if you want to meet great people like Russ Hedge and Baron Robison, go to the chamber.
Yeah. Well, and at the time, you and I had a mutual friend back then, Russ, that was wonderful in that Albany, Corvallis, Lebanon area. She worked for the Corvallis Knights and got a very unfortunate diagnosis of lung cancer. And in the heart of COVID, where every idea that I had was being shot down, I worked alongside you and a few other people. And, we managed to pull off a drive-by, and it was beautiful. We had like 30 cars lined up at West Albany High School, and we drove past her house and, expressed our love to her. And we thought she had beat that darn thing. And then it came back 2 years ago, right about now, Russ, 2 years ago, we were right outside her office there in Corvallis, and we did a flash mob. We all sang "Take Me Out to the Ballpark." And unfortunately, she lost her battle with lung cancer. But it was at that event, it was at that flash mob that you informed me that now all of a sudden Russ Hedge is in the battle with skin cancer. And so you and I have fought side by side for a number of years on this nasty cancer thing.
Well, and you and Kickin Cancer is such a blessing. It was my honor to be part of that and be able to support people like Jennifer, but it was just like a full circle blessing that you guys have supported me. And then, this recent melanoma metastasizing to my groin, lungs, and brain, it's been, even more of a battle. So I appreciate that. I love the shirts, the hashtag Rust Rocks that you put together. I thank you for that. So
Baron, can you tell us about what does Kickin Cancer do? So
Kickin Cancer has kind of twofold mission. Our ultimate goal is to educate people on ways that hopefully they won't get cancer. And so our long-term vision is that we can begin reducing the number of new cases. This year alone, Scott, there's going to be 2 million Americans, brand new cases of cancer, on top of the 1.9 million last year, the 1.8 the year before that. So our long-term goal is to educate and then reduce new cases of cancer. But in the meantime, people like Russ and Jennifer, local people in our communities are dealing with cancer. And so we have a whole separate part of our organization where we step in and support those people locally. And then what's super exciting is we have our first chapter, we call them a community, but they're up in Vancouver, Washington, and they have successfully pulled off 2 of their own Go Team events. We have interest from Bend, Oregon, and Medford, and so our bigger idea is that we can create 1,000 communities throughout the world where people can educate and support their neighbors through this cancer journey.
Yeah, and I tell you, when you're in the middle of something like this, you don't realize how much you really need the help and support until you're right in the middle of it. And you've been such a blessing to me. And I'm the kind of person that likes to help other people and do things, but you get to that point, you got to learn how to accept a little help from others, a little help from your friends. And so, one thing that you talked about, your sister had her battle, and I think she's still going through some of that, right?
Yeah, she's actually in her third battle now.
Right.
Her first one was in 2017. It's breast cancer. It did go metastatic. It sat quiet for a while. It came back 2 years ago, early 2020, late 21, early 22. It came back. They removed it again about 3 months ago. It came back a third time, and unfortunately now it's actually in the fibers of her skin. It's called cutaneous breast cancer. But she has a great phrase, Russ. She says, "This time I'm not starting from scratch. I'm starting from experience."
Hmm.
There you go. Yeah,
Um,
that is.
and and she has another awesome phrase that kind of ties in with your messaging here. She says, "I don't believe in miracles. I rely on them."
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah, I
And
love
that's
that.
a good lead in. And we are speaking with Baron Robinson of Kickin Cancer. So Kicking Cancer really started from your personal experience, and now it branched out and you're able to help other people like Russ and a number of other folks. Education and prevention, obviously, something that we all want to participate in. And let's just talk about the uh, some of the other stories of folks that you've been involved with.
One of my favorites to tell is there's a lady. She lives in Lebanon, and I had gone to an event, and she came up and informed me that she was like borderline blood cancer. She had what's called high white cell disease. And so we were going to step in and try to help her out of whatever nature we could. Her husband was a drummer in a local band. A number of bands knew him. And so our idea was to create this event where a number of bands would come together and play music and then donate proceeds and so on and so forth. Right just prior to the event, her husband had a massive heart attack and died. So now she's got all these conditions, and the breadwinners died. And I'll tell you what, the community came together. We had 8 bands. They all waived their cover charge. We didn't have to pay any of the bands anything. And we raised a little over $10,000 at that event, which allowed her to pay off the mortgage on her house, wholly relieve that pressure off of her mind. And now she is second in charge at the Best Western right there off of I-5 in Albany. Kind of helped her pull her life back together again. And that was just a wonderful success story for us.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, so many good positive things come out of negative situations, And I think because you are so involved in the communities around us, Baron, you're able to really tap into to all that's going on. And I want to talk a little bit about our faith is so important. I mean, I just trust God and believe every day that God's not done with me yet. And in fact, I've got that shirt on today. God's not done with me yet, and I'm just thankful that I have that strength and faith. And I think that really drives a lot of what you do, right?
It really does. It really does. For those that I'll pull the shirt out again. For those that have seen our shirts, there is a scripture on there, and it's Hebrews. You can kind of see it there, but it's Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24. And just to kind of paraphrase Paul, he basically says that we show our love of each other by how we treat each other. And that's always what we want a Kickin Cancer to be. Is we're not a faith-based nonprofit, but we do show our love of God. And I'm a firm believer that everything that you need to not get cancer, you put in the Garden of Eden. And everything you need to ultimately be healed from kidney cancer. God's there for you. And unfortunately, in some cases, the plan is to go back to God. And that's a really hard message to swallow. But maybe the plan is it's time for you to go back to God. And we're just here to support people on however we can of whatever nature.
Yeah.
Baron, you just talk about the faith and kind of believing in God, but also accepting what God's decision is. And I think back with our pastor, gave the sermon, and he said, you need to believe that God has a plan. And I said, that's not the problem. I know God has a plan. The problem is, when's he going to reveal it to me?
Right.
And so you're with not just the people that are experiencing cancer like Russ, but also families like Russ's wife, as he says, his beautiful wife, Leah.
Right.
So let's talk about how you support families as well.
We developed this amazing program. We started developing before COVID, kind of put it on hold. We've got it fully developed out now. It's called Pathways. And anyone that goes to our website, kickin-cancer.com, where you click support, that it shows Pathways. Pathways, and I'm just going to use Russ's situation as an example. Fortunately, Russ's kids are a little bit older. But if Russ's kids were young teenagers or, 8, 9, 10 years old, now everyone in the family is very worried about Russ because of Russ's situation. And it's very easy for those kids to get lost in the shuffle because the focus is on the person with the cancer, not the kids. And so we have a one-on-one mentoring program where we bring a volunteer in, and they would partner up with a kid, and they'd help with their homework, or they would take them to the Enchanted Forest, or they'd go do things with that kid so that the kid doesn't get overwhelmed with the stress of cancer. The statistics are showing that a lot of them turn to drugs. Some are turning to suicide, and we want to save those kids and those families too. And then we developed another part of that really is more on the adult side, but it's a trauma and grief coaching program. And that really spun off from a family there in the Albany area where their little 4-year-old boy, and Russ is familiar with the story of Ozzy, and Ozzy ultimately passed, but mom and dad were in their mid-30s, and psychologically they were just stuck in that grieving process. And we want to help them, we want to coach them through that grieving trauma process so that their lives can move on too. So we want to help the families in other ways than just the person with the cancer.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that cancer is often harder on the family than it is on the person going through it at times. I mean, physically, you're getting it, the person that has the cancer, but emotionally, I think it's harder on my family than it is on me. And my beautiful wife, she worries, and the kids, they're concerned, and everybody's rallying around me, but it's a lot emotionally. So I completely get that. And, we're blessed that both of my adult children, my daughter-in-law, my beautiful wife, all are very grounded in God and strong in faith. And so even though that doesn't make everything easy, it gives them strength to hold on to and a peace that passes all understanding beyond just the situation and the circumstances. So I'm just thankful for that. But, it's tough on families. So, when you started this off, what I like is you've really continued to think outside the box. And, I've been involved with you on a volunteer basis, and the different events you put on. When did you get the idea that doing some events like the bands you talked about, you do golf tournaments, you do concerts, all kinds of stuff. Where did you get the idea to do those kind of things for the organization?
I've always been an out-of-the-box thinker. I ran an Arby's restaurant for a number of years, and the franchise I worked for created an award for me because they call it the local store marketing, but I was always thinking outside of the box on ways to get business into my restaurant. And so when we do an event, I'm just kind of listening to listening to God's Spirit. I'm just kind of going, okay, God, direct me on what we can do to support this particular person. And that is why it is so fun for me to announce that it started when you first got your diagnosis, Russ. It was just a shirt of support that said hashtag Russ Rocks. But now, in February, we're going to have a Russ Rocks rock concert. It's a Russ Rocks rock concert. We have a band called Kickstar. How fitting that Kickin Kansas has a band called Kickstar. And we're going to have a full-blown 80s Bon Jovi, Van Halen type music down in Albany. And we've got people that are going to help sponsor the new shirt. We're going to do a whole new shirt with new stuff on the back. We'll have auction items there. We'll sell tickets to this concert. And it's just, you just got to listen. God's always talking to you. The question is, are you listening? And it's like, well, it's a perfect fit. We'll just have a Russ Rocks rock concert. And it's all the music that you and I grew up with, Russ.
Yeah. Such a blessing. Go ahead, Scott.
I love it. I love the Russ Rocks and rock concert. And so I can see this hashtag is going to be flying around on our stuff as well. And it's a great way to support, but it's a fun way to do it. And I like that, Baron, that you are taking something that can be really somber and finding ways to bring joy to people. And one of the things that I've heard from people that are going through different treatments in their families and stuff is they just want to be treated normally. And so let's talk about how you're working with the different families too, as far as these events. How involved are the families, or how does that all work?
Well, and so the first thing is, I'm just going to, sorry, Russ, you're on the spot here, but I'm just going to use Russ as an example again. You know, Russ is going through the battle, and the lady that I mentioned from Lebanon, she's going through the battle. And so we find somebody locally that I call the champion or the captain, but they kind of help me spearhead the event. And what I discovered is that when I was supporting my sister 7 years ago, I said, if you will help your friend with the same level of enthusiasm that I helped my sister, we can raise a bunch of money. But I don't know all of your sphere of influence. I don't know all of Russ's sphere of influence, but his friends do. And so we work alongside the friends. It makes for a really fun event because now the friends are stepping in support of the person with the cancer. And, you know, even if we had $1 million in the bank to just write Russ a check, well, sure, Russ could use the money. Anyone could use the money. But it's so gratifying when you see your friends come together at some event for you. And I've seen 2 cases that I can think of where the event itself rejuvenated the person. Neither one of them statistically should have made it through their cancer diagnosis, and both of them are thriving. And I think what happened, quite honestly, guys, is at a cellular level, their body responded to that support. They said, there's love and support here for me, and all of their cells were just filled with joy, and they began to heal. That's what I think happened.
Well, I think definitely your attitude, how you look at things, and the joy in your life does affect how you heal. In fact, my doctors have told me the number one thing going for me is my positive attitude and a good perspective. And, you know, it's really amazing how much control our mind actually has on our body, the things that it can do. So that is so, so true, Baron. And, you know, I am just thankful for God who gives me a positive attitude, perspective, and strength every day. And I'm choosing to live, and I'm choosing to make things, expect good things to happen. So, but hey, listen, on Kickin Cancer, let us wrap it up here for today. I'd like to hear what your gold nugget is of today's conversation. What do you really want people to remember about Kickin Cancer, about you, all of that's going on? And then tell everybody how they get in touch with you.
The biggest thing I want you to remember is hashtag Russ Rocks. That's remember, hashtag Russ Rocks. and go to the Russ Rock concert. Details are coming. But no, I think the bigger nugget, Russ, is I started this to help my sister out. We said we could help one more person. It's about community. It's about when people love on each other, when we come together as a community to support each other, we allow God to be involved in that. Whatever your belief is, I don't think there's anyone that doesn't have some belief in a higher power. Whatever they want to call that higher power, and allow that higher power to work in your life. Allow that higher power to help your community, help the person with the cancer. And so if anyone wants more information about us, it's kicking-cancer.org. We have a YouTube as well. It's Kickin Cancer Productions. And I'm excited that we're actually going to bring our radio show, our podcast, and the plan right now, and maybe I'm spilling the beans, I apologize. We're gonna have a radio show. We're gonna sit around Russ's kitchen table with his kids and his wife and have a wonderful conversation about Russ's diagnosis from the family's perspective.
Yeah.
I
apologize to your wife. I spoke
forward to that.
Well, listen, Baron, we just really, really appreciate you. Thanks so much. What a blessing you are to me, to our community, to all those people going through and struggling with cancer, and just family members and community members. I think it's such an impact on everybody. And I can't even begin to thank you enough for what you mean to me and what a blessing you are. I want to let you know that I'm always here for you too, and I appreciate that. Always praying for your sister. And just want to thank you for being with us today. We got to wrap things up for today, but we're going to say goodbye, but hang tight in the green room. We'll be right there when we get done. Okay.
Thank you, Baron.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Russ.
It's the Kicking, and that's got a G, kicking-cancer.org. People can go there. They can donate. They can support, buy a t-shirt, buy a beanie, even buy a sticker, start somewhere. This is a great way to show your support, because everybody is affected by cancer, whether they have it themselves, it's a family member, it's a friend, a work associate. We're all affected by it. So this is a great way to show your support in a tangible way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It was such an honor and blessing for me, and still is, to be able to support the organization, to volunteer to help promote it, and do all that I can. But what a blessing they've been to me. And everybody can start off by doing a little something for the people in their community, their family, whatever. It really means a lot to people. He's right. When people care, it just really warms your heart, and it makes you feel really good that there's people that care about you. And I've tried to be a blessing and a giver to others, but there's that time you need the help and assistance. So I'm so thankful for that. But so anyway, wonderful having Baron with Kickin Cancer with us today. Yes, the organization is KICKIN Cancer, but the website is kicking with the G-cancer.org. And so go there today, and just thankful for all of you being here. We're here every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. And don't forget, this also converts to audio podcast and goes out on the Experience Radio Network. Right, Scott?
Absolutely. And tune in and share with your friends.
For sure. For more information, don't forget, you go to local.theexperience.video. Until next week, have a blessed week, and enjoy
your Thanksgiving and the experience.
There you go. All right. See ya.
Thank you for tuning in to The Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Listen to the program on Spotify or wherever you listen to fine podcasts. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Experience Local with Russ and Scott.